insane now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Game now, me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
And we are back for week 2 here at RaceSpot Friday night prime time. Myself, Cameron Roger and Zach Sweeney bringing you through all the action for this new format for the final season of 2022 here on iRacing. We introduced this new format where the public vote for which race and which series that they want to see. Last time out, last week, we went to the Touring Car Cup at Spa-Francorchamps, and now we are here for the Pro 4 Off-Road Dirt at Crandon. It's going to be something different. It's going to be something fun, and Zach Sweeney alongside me is certainly going to be a little bit different to what we've been used to.
Yeah, it's a step into the unknown for both of us, Cam, isn't it? It's something that we certainly aren't used to. We're jumping straight into the deep end with a bit of off-road action, but I'm really looking forward to it. I do love trying new things, and it looks like an interesting prospect because at least my experience with off-road racing is it's just loads of fun. You're on dirt, you've got absolutely no grip whatsoever. You're sending it in corners sideways, and yeah, it's an all-out sprint. 10 laps here at Crandon. Shootout. It's 12-car grid as well. It's again that newfound sort of experience for us as well. It should hopefully be a lot of action, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be something, yes, that little bit different. Last season, we had the IR04, and that was certainly a very entertaining championship. But of course, we want to go and see the other types of racing that you can do on iRacing. So obviously the touring cars that we had last time, they're a very popular series on a big Grand Prix European track like Spa. But then coming to the off-road side that only came into iRacing the last few years, it's finally got a world championship. Conor Barry winning that one back in August, and he's actually on the grid today as well. So that is going to be an awesome prospect for those watching to see some top quality racing here on the off-road side of things. And for sure, Zach is going to be one of those ones for you and I, getting to used to this new type of racing and just seeing how these trucks sort of battle each other compared to the road courses.
Absolutely, it's something different. It's not something we often see. Sim racing is largely taken up by road courses and ovals and things like that. We don't usually sort of dabble into the off-road side of things. So it's nice that Friday Night Primetime can open us up to this a little bit, and the new format giving us this opportunity to go to a variety of different things. Because as you say, as fun as the IRA4s were, it's nice to just dabble in a little bit of everything, stick your fingers in many a pie, as I'm sure you and O'Leary would agree with. It's just trying something new, getting out of your comfort zone just a little bit, and enjoying what you're watching rather than staying with the same old thing. But yeah, again, we've got 8 minutes to qualify, and we jump into 10 laps of racing. It's a track we're not familiar with. It's some cars we're not familiar with, and of course, it's a style of racing that we're not familiar with. So yeah, Cam, it's just as we say, we're just looking forward to this one.
Yeah, we certainly are. And here was the vote, 67%. So it was pretty, it was pretty popular. The IO4, obviously 3% down there, having a full season last year, but obviously the Porsche Cup and C-Fix Truck Series as well as being an option around there. This was obviously the week 2 result to what you're seeing. And on the RaceSpotTV Discord, there's obviously the vote now for the next week. And you can see the options down there, the VRS Sprint GT Open at Road Atlanta, or we've got the Formula 3s around Okayama, or you've got the Class B fixed Xfinity around Talladega, or we have some Rallycross at Lucas Oil Raceway as well. So certainly going to be a very interesting one. Get yourself on the RaceSpot Discord, but the race seems to have started, and we're here on this opening lap. And as you can tell, Conor Barry and Keaton Swain leading the way as we come up already around the last couple of corners. They start sort of on the back stretch, coming up through turn 4 and 5 before coming around to start the lap officially at the finish line. But yeah, let's see how these guys go as we come over the jumps.
Yeah, here we go, underway now, and it seems to be a pretty convincing lead so far for Barry, who's sort of about 1.3 seconds clear. But you can just all see everyone trying to settle into this race. You can see pretty much everyone sideways. All bit of contact between 3rd and 4th there as they tap the inside wall. Still running side by side, but everyone very close. And oh my word, that is the chaos and carnage that I have come to expect with jumping into a series like this. And already, Cam, we have someone taken off.
We absolutely have, and that's the thing with this style of racing. Obviously, contact is a little bit more frequent than you'd see at some other places up and down the field. It looks like Conor Barry leading the way towards the front, but of course, that is not necessarily going to stay the way. 10 laps. It is actually one of the longest tracks that there is on the off-road side of things, so certainly plenty of distance for these guys to try and work their way out, and certainly cars being upside down isn't what you want as we come already down this back straight, so that's where they would have started on that left-hand side of the picture before we now come through this turn 5. So you can long right-handed corner, sliding the car, obviously four-wheel drive as well, so you've got to be using the angle of the car to your advantage to try and get the correct angle of slide as you get on the throttle.
Yeah, you almost use the oversteer to counteract the understeer. Of course, on dirt, those tyres are not going to have as much grip as they would on a nice tarmac surface. So you've got to almost send the car in sideways to pitch it how you like, and then drive out the corner a little bit straighter. It's like, you know, in karting in wet conditions as well, you use sort of the brakes and the weight of the car to pitch at a different angle, so then you can get on the power more effectively. Because if you go in sideways, at least the car's turning. If you can hold it around and keep it, you know, smooth and tidy, then you will actually be quicker rather than going in conventionally, which is straight, brake, turn, and then get on the power, because the cars don't have enough grip to go through quickly. So as you can see with Conor Barry, he is just absolutely sending the car in, dab on the brakes, get all the weight to the front of the car, send it in sideways, and then get on the power as early as possible. And it seems to be working, because he is breaking clear from the rest of the track, though second and third are still staying in there just about. They are in contention, but of course, when it comes to this style of racing, Cam, you're always on the limit. To go quick, you have to send the cars in pretty much sideways, and that can always open up the opportunity for a couple of spins along the way.
Yeah, and as you say, because you're going to the limit, there's often a lot more mistakes and a lot more wiggly moments you see, and that is certainly something that the drivers behind need to capitalise on, because you're sending the cars in so fast, especially through that corner in turn 5 there. You're really having to judge the car to perfection. Before you come over the jumps, you have to time your throttle as well when you're getting back on the throttle coming off the jumps, and just be making sure that you are obviously trying to keep the car somewhat stable, but in a more controlled fashion. There's definitely a fine art to it, which is why you will see some of these guys maybe perfecting their skills in this part of the world rather than on some road courses. As a little bit further back, we do have this battle. See Briley then third place, Whitehouse in fourth, but just behind there's obviously this battle as well. We've got a few drivers trying to work their way. Got Rinkler as well in this battle for that P7 at this moment in time. The number 5 car there coming through this first couple of corners and trying to get a bit of a jump on the cars ahead.
Yeah, you quite literally actually getting a jump on the cars ahead, because it's very bumpy, and the speed you carry, you do certainly get some airtime in these tracks, which is awesome to see aesthetically anyway. And you can see the number 12 now sending to the inside of the number 5 in front. But again, it's that outside momentum. You often use the wide line to keep the cars revs up, to keep the minimum speed up, and just carry that speed all the way through. But now, oh my word, that's exactly what can happen. In completely sideways there, and getting the drive off the corner. They're going to exit side by side. I'm not entirely sure if that was an intentional move, but well, it certainly looked interesting.
Yeah, that's one thing with the cars, sort of using these wider lines, it opens up the door, but then it's hard to get the exit. That's why they go so deep, to then get the drive straighter off the exit of that turn 4 hairpin, and then sideways, as you see over the jumps again, trying to work their way. I think it's Desler on the board of the number 12 car, all the way around through turn number 6, and this is a potentially important point, penultimate corner coming in towards turn number 7, but Winkler holding on to that place as it stands. And for sure, it's certainly one of those moments where you have to just judge it to perfection and not go too overboard, as they now come around this final corner. A bit of contact between the 5 and the 12 there, and they're certainly getting a little bit feisty now onto lap 4.
They certainly are indeed. Nearly halfway through this race already. It is a short and snappy. You get to the point right away with this series, and of course the 10 laps means you have to get these moves done quickly, otherwise you might not get the opportunity to at all. As each lap ticks down, so too does the amount of opportunities that you potentially have. But it is quite difficult to get moves done in the off-road scene, because as we say, it's very one-line orientated. If you go offline slightly, you're going to be compromised in one way or another. So yeah, you can see now Conor Barry leading the way. He's still, you know, they're putting enough pressure on is the second place car, and also the third and fourth place cars just in tow as well. But you know, they're not quite close enough. I think Barry is keeping them at a nice arm's length to just do what he does best, which definitely goes to show. He's definitely proving as to why he's so successful in this discipline of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching back the finale there, where he won the championship back in August, and certainly just the closeness of the racing there, just how sort of precise you had to be to even get those positions, is just crazy. To see the level of drivers that you can get in a completely sort of newer discipline than some people are used to, but it certainly turns out to be an amazing battle. And Swain there is certainly trying to keep up, just about a second or so between them as we come through turns 1, 2, 3 for this next time around. Already on to lap 5 of this 10-lap race, short and sharp for these guys, but the number 2 machine still leading the way as it stands, coming up onto this back straight. And so I think it's closed in just a little bit, but it looks like they've got the pace, and Briley and Wellhouse a little bit behind.
very true indeed. So it's a 2-horse race out in front. They're sort of breaking away a little bit. Then again, I guess you could say that Bailey isn't too far behind, certainly keeping them honest. But again, they're close, but not close enough really to see a lot of action. And that is a shame definitely to see. But we're seeing a bit of action further back. We've had a couple of midfield fights as well. But now it sort of starts to ramp up. The pressure starts to ramp up. Now we're into the latter half of this race, the final 5 laps, because then you're getting towards the end. You need to make these moves count. You settled into a rhythm, and now you should, in theory, have the confidence to try and push a little bit harder and close those gaps.
Absolutely, and look at just the slide you can get. Swain in the background trying to catch up, trying to make some time up through that turn 7 up towards the final jump of the track before you come into Calamity Corner, the final corner on this Crandon track. And yeah, just awesome seeing the cars literally 4 wheels sliding through there and using that 4-wheel drive to pull them out of the corner. Completely a different angle to their line of travel. Certainly amazing to see, and for sure some of these places have sort of opened up a bit, but then what I was mentioning earlier, just the closeness that you were seeing on that Off-Road Championship Series races was incredible. Despite all the different variations and variables that are in this style of racing, you can remain pretty close. Although on these more open races, there is a slightly level of the sort of ability range, but certainly we're still seeing a close battle here for 3rd and 4th there. Wellhouse getting a little bit closer there into turn 4.
Teasing a little bit, but yeah, it's again, it's quite difficult to overtake. We cut back to this fight for 7th between Winkler and just in behind as well. It's a close fight now for the fringes of the top 5. Only a 12-car field, but they are pretty close. They're not too spaced out. Everyone's sort of within a couple of car lengths of each other. Just again, not quite close enough to send any drastic moves. Again, a tribute to the very specific driving style that you have to adopt in this series. You can just see now going all the way to the outside, using that outside momentum, cuts in, gets straight as they exit the corner, using that sideways momentum, and then driving forward just to get the perfect traction possible, because on dirt there isn't going to be much. Doesn't matter what drive shaft you've got in the car, it's dirt. You're not going to have much traction at all. So pitching the car straight just to maximize that, and yeah, everyone utilizing that to full effect. But again, it just does come down to confidence, because if you don't trust the car cam when you're going sideways, then yeah, you're not going to have that confidence to send it in as sideways as everyone else around you could. So and when that does happen, you are just going to completely lose out quite a bit.
Absolutely, and it's actually pretty crazy. Obviously, relatively speaking, you have less grip as such compared to tarmac, but still the amount of speed that they take through some of these corners is insane. These trucks obviously set up completely for this style of racing with the massive long travel suspension and the big knobbly tires and everything like that, and they've got about 700 horsepower as well, so they're not slow by any means of the imagination, and it really takes some proper skill to be able to drive these, and that is certainly the reason why we get some nice side-by-side action there through the 5 and 12. Winkler there and Dezel trying to get side by side as we come up towards the penultimate corner of this lap. Not quite enough, but a nice big wide line there through Desler, but trying to get the exit, and that is what it's all about, trying to get a bit of momentum shift as we come up towards the final corner, having a look towards the inside, but of course the jump there just before the braking zone just covers that one off for now. But just 3 laps to go as it stands.
Yeah, not a lot of time at all, but you can see Delza look into the inside, trying to find any gap he possibly can now. Again, as they head through the next left-hander, they also have to look out for the number 10 machine just in behind there in P9. The number 12 closing up a lot. There's Delza now setting up the inside line. He's got a much better drive. Can he get the drive off the corner, though? That is the question, and the answer to that one is no, because Winkler on the outside, that's the thing about these tracks. The outside line is dominant. It's not like your road surfaces or anything like that, where the outside line actually does put you vulnerable. Oh, my word. Delza using the full extent of the circuit to try and get the drive and all the way around the outside. But that's the thing, Cam, is that you have to put your opponent offline to use that outside momentum to swing all the way around the outside, because as Delza has proven now, the inside just doesn't quite cut it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's an interesting one. You put your truck in there, trying to think that you've got the position, but then when you get to the exit of the corner, it doesn't quite work out. But number 12 there, bouncing massively off the jump there, coming through towards turn 6, and actually losing a bit of time. And actually in the background is Dunn. Jamie Dunn trying to get a bit of a run towards turn 7, thinking about the inside, but as always, around these longer corners, got to slide around the exit, around the outside, trying to get the exit, actually using that momentum coming up towards the final corner here at turn number 8, where the finish line line is just after 2 laps to go now for these drivers and their trucks. The number 5 and number 12, they're still increasing their battle, and maybe one of them will have to try something a bit more sketchy with just a couple of laps to go.
You just got to send it in. I think Delza has already proven that he's certainly willing to try that. But yeah, pressure racking up now as they enter the final couple of laps. You can see Delza using the full inside undulation of the circuit. They're completely clobbering the truck over the little bump in the hill and getting the car up at least in the air partially. As he does it into here as well, you can see his rear end completely lifts up. It is a fight as well for... Oh, actually, no, Delza getting a little bit too eager, I think. You said try something a bit different, try something a little bit, out of the ordinary, maybe a bit more confident. I think, unfortunately for him, he's lost the place to Dunn in front, and that might have been a bit too confident for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's a bit of damage didn't previously notice on Dunn's car. I don't know if there was a bit of pushing and shoving there coming into turn 4, but certainly the number 10 there of Jamie Dunn working his way up into 8th position with just a lap and a half to go now, and it's going to be Delta who's having to come back. And as we come towards this final lap, it is Conor Barry, your world champion in the Off-Road Championship Series, and it's certainly looking to be a nice 10-lap sprint to the finish for him as we're on to the final lap now. Keaton Swain is following him through in that second place. They have dropped Briley there for 3rd place, and just showing the prowess that they have. The only 2 drivers in this field still with a World Championship license to their name, and showing why that is the case. But still a very high level field, a very high level iRacing and SOF as well for this particular race. But it's certainly Barry, as he's still got a few corners to go, but he's leading it nicely.
He is indeed. He's completely dominated this race and certainly showing why he deserves that World Championship license. And yeah, done a great job. He's completely dominated it pretty much from start to finish. And yeah, well, he's done a brilliant job. Only a couple more corners left to go from now, and he's, well, certainly broken that gap away from Swain and used his consistency, used his skill, and yeah, he's going to win today.
He certainly is. Just a couple of corners to go now, and for sure mistakes can happen, but you wouldn't expect that from a world champion. It's certainly showing Conor Barry why he and that number 2 machine there is going to be coming through to win this 10-lap race for Friday night prime time here on RaceSpotTV. This off-road series was certainly something different for prime time, and getting the world champion to come across the line to win the race here at Crandon, and certainly deservingly so, followed by Swain there in 2nd place. Also some side-by-side coming towards the final call there, a little bit further back in the field, but it looks like side-by-side over the course of the line, and that was a photo finish there to finish the lap a little bit earlier, and it looks like that was Clog there just getting well-housed at the finish line. Certainly a very good one indeed.
Yeah, what a race that was. Really did enjoy the sort of the difference in discipline that we're not really used to. Of course, there wasn't much in the way of side-by-side action or drama for the race lead because, yeah, well, we just saw the domination from our race winner. We had a bit of action amongst the midfield, but again, it is quite difficult to overtake. But yeah, Conor Barry, 2.5 seconds clear of Keaton Swain. Yeah, what a race it was from him.
Actually, certain was. It was actually, I think, Clog there losing the place, I should say, actually, on that final lap, going down into 6th place. But I should say, Conor Barry taking the victory there by 2.5 seconds from Keaton Swain. Briley in that 3rd place with Wellhouse. Berlin in 5th place. Clog, Winkler, Dunn, Delza and Crystal King rounding out the top 10 there. And unfortunately, I think it was Crystal King who was having a bit of a jump around on that first couple of laps before Mickelson and MacArthur round out that 12 truck field. And it was Conor Barry getting the fastest lap as well with a 1:18. And that was certainly something a bit different here for Friday night prime time. And that is something that we're going to continue throughout this season. If you're onto the Discord for RaceSpot.tv, you'll be able to find yourself the channel where you can vote for what you want next week, and that vote is already live, and that will close in 6 days time on the 30th of September. So get yourself involved, and we'll be seeing something a little bit different as well next week. But that rounds it up here for this week 2 of the final season of 2022 here on iRacing. Myself, Cameron Rogers, Zach Sweeney taking you through the action with Zach Johnson on the cameras behind the scenes. That's been the off-road trucks here, and it's certainly been good fun. But until next week, where we find out something completely different, goodbye.